everybody, welcome back to Top Impressive. And before we start the video, I just want to say, if you are new to this YouTube channel, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and turn on notifications so you never miss any new uploads. And if you want to take a few more steps, make sure to hit that like button down below. And I know what you guys are wondering, when is the next episode on the Lusitania Timeline series going to come out? Well, it's going to come out probably sometime this week, so just stay tuned. Okay, so for this video, we're going to be talking about the sinking of another vessel that probably you have heard of, the RMS Carpathia. The RMS Carpathia was the ship that responded to the Titanic's distress call when it was sinking. And what little know is that just a few years later, the Carpathia would join the ship she rescued on the seafloor. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, before we talk about the sinking of the RMS Carpathia, we should talk a little bit about this vessel's history. Just like the Lusitania, the Carpathia was owned by the Cunard Line, and she was one of 3 vessels built at that time. So the RMS Carpathia, shown here, the RMS Saxonia, and the RMS Ivernia. Construction on the Carpathia began on September 10, 1901, at the John Richardson and Swan Hunter shipyard in Wallsend, England. Fun fact, this was the same shipyard that the RMS Mauretania would be built in within the next few years. The Carpathia was launched on August 6, 1902, and she was 558 feet long and had a beam, or width, of 64 feet. And she had a gross tonnage of 13,500 tons. The fitting out process of the Carpathia was completed in February 1903, and she underwent her sea trials on a voyage from Wallsend, England, where she was launched, all the way to Liverpool, England, between April 22nd and April 25th, 1903. Then, on May 5th, 1903, the Carpathia left Liverpool on her maiden voyage en route to Boston. Over the course of the next few years, the Carpathia would continue sailing this route, but in winter months, she would sail from New York City to Mediterranean ports such as Fiume, Genoa, Naples, and places like that. And she had a capacity of over 1,700 passengers. However, in 1905, the Carpathia underwent some renovations, and during the renovations, the Cunard Line was able to increase her capacity from 1,700 passengers to over 2,600 passengers. Now let's jump to April 11th, 1912, when the Carpathia departed New York City on an eastbound crossing heading for Fiume. And for the first few days, everything was pretty uneventful, until the night of April 14th, 1912, when the ship's wireless operator, Harold Cottam, was listening to the dots and dashes from other vessels. He was about to turn off the system, the Marconi system, for the night, when he decided to turn the system back on for one last listen. Then, all of a sudden, Cottam hears a distress call. The new luxury ocean liner, the RMS Titanic, on her maiden voyage, is sinking. Right after that, Cottam rushed to the bridge, where he told the officers, "The Titanic is sinking. We have to go." The officers said, "The Titanic is not sinking. Someone is playing a joke on you." Then Cottam ran down to Captain Arthur Rostron's cabin. The officers tried to keep Cottam from getting to Rostron's cabin, but it was too late. Cottam said to Rostron, "The Titanic is sinking." And right after that, the bridge officers made it to Rostron's cabin and apologized for not catching Cottam. Rostron asked Cottam, "Are you sure the Titanic is sinking?" Then Cottam replied yes. Then Rostrom ordered the engines full speed ahead. Cottam sent a message to Titanic's operator, Jack Phillips, that they will arrive within 3 to 4 hours. And at 3:30 a.m. on April 15th, the Carpathia reached the area where the Titanic went down and picked up the 707 survivors in the lifeboats. Then, on April 18th, the Carpathia arrived in New York City where the survivors disembarked. Now let's jump to 1915. So you see, in August 1914, World War I had broke out, and because of that, the Carpathia and many other vessels were used as troop ships. And in 1916, the Carpathia got a new captain. His name was William Prothero, and he would be the captain of her until she sank. On July 15th, 1918, the Carpathia departed Liverpool for the final time in a convoy en route to Boston, along with an escort and 223 people on board. In the morning of July 17th, the convoy's escort left the area and the convoy began to separate. However, what the Carpathia's crew didn't know was that there was a German U-boat in the area, more specifically German U-boat U-55, and the U-boat commander fired a torpedo at the vessel. The helm was turned hard to starboard to avoid an impact. However, it was too late. At 9:15 a.m. on July 17th, the torpedo fired by U-55 struck the Carpathia on the port side. Shortly after, U-55 fired another torpedo, which penetrated the ship's engine room, and as a result of that, 5 people were killed. When that happened, 5 people were killed when that happened. The second torpedo impact also damaged the Marconi system as well as the electrical system. Captain Prothero signaled the ships in the convoy to send out wireless messages with flags. Prothero also fired distress rockets to get the attention of any other vessels. As the Carpathia began to list, Prothero decided to abandon ship. Everyone on board evacuated in the ship's 11 lifeboats. And at about 10:55 a.m., U-55 fired a third torpedo at the ship. And at 11 a.m., just 1 hour and 45 minutes after she was first torpedoed, she slipped beneath the surface on the Celtic Sea, 120 miles off the coast of Fastnet, Ireland. The Carpathia was the 5th ship in the Cunard fleet to be sunk in the First World War. At roughly 1 p.m., a military cruiser known as the HMS Snowdrop arrived at the scene and took all the survivors back to Liverpool. And it was realized that 5 out of the 223 people on board lost their lives. And it is a tragedy that those 30 people did lose their lives, but at least it wasn't worse. And it's great that the Carpathia did have a successful 15 years at sea. Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day everybody.